Mary Flynn, the girl that all journalists want to interview her. All the photographers took pictures of her. She is happy with her actress life because being an actress is her ambition. She wants people to see that she is not only beautiful. She starred with Declan Knight in the film Irish Rose. The photographer liked Mary very much. Everybody was forgotten that this is her first time. Declan is jealous of her. Then they went to a hotel in Dublin. She drank champagne and answered journalist questions. When she walked out of the journalist, she met a red-haired boy who made her feel special. Then she talked to Celia. She started to feel hot, so she walked out to the garden. The red-haired boy asked her to dance with him and pick up fruit in the basket for Mary to eat. After that, Mary can dance without feeling tired. She realized that she should go back, but when she opened the door, she feels tired and the door is very heavy. She thought that it's hurt from dancing injury. When she went back, she can't remember anyone in the event. She found that her arm injured. She looked in the mirror and met an old woman in there. The old woman looked scared. Mary saw it and she wailed loudly.
How Parvilla. Johnny Ang and his father were looking at lots of little people made from painted plastic. They were meant to be people whose ghosts had gone to places after their death. Some ghosts were in places of happiness, others were in places of terrible pain. The place was Haupar Villa in Singapore. The colored little painted people could be seen all over the Haupar Villa. There were also laughing Buddha, wild-eyed tigers, mermaids, as many other strange people and animals there. There were also examples of places outside the living world where the dead were said to go. Some were very happy places, but others certainly were not. Parents often brought their children there to learn about right and wrong ways of living. Johnny Ang's father was one of them. The little painted man looked at Johnny with his eyes wide open with pain. It was horrible. He saw that little painted man again and again in his dreams for many years, and not be able to sleep again. Raymond Ang owned several large seafood restaurants in Singapore, and wanted his own son to own his restaurants one day, but Johnny didn't want his father's business. At school, Johnny found his real love, computers. Johnny Ang grew up and moved to Australia with his new wife Linda. His computer company did well there. Business was good. Johnny was 30 years old when he got the news that his father had died. He always thought that he was too afraid of his father to love him, yet now he was dead. Johnny felt really bad. Now he had to go back to Singapore and take care of his father's body and organize the funeral. Many people came to the funeral. Johnny knew most of the people, but there were some he didn't know. One man had a black tattoo like a snake on his left arm, like his father. The people who came along brought things to burn on the funeral fire, such as paper money, paper cars, and other valuable things. That night, Johnny's bad dreams come back to him. He saw the little painted man from Haupar Villa looking at him with his eyes wide open, full of pain. This time the man was real, and he was moving and screaming. Johnny woke up, shaking, and could not get back to sleep. Johnny sold his father's business for a lot of money. His father's friends were surprised. They all expected him to continue their restaurants, but that was his decision. Of course, both he and Linda thought it would be a good chance to show Wesley some places in Singapore. So the next few weeks, they took Wesley to usual places like the Bird Park in Jurong West. Then Linda wanted his son to see the Haupar Villa. But Johnny was scared of that place, so Linda said that how Parvilla is different from when you saw it all those years ago. It's changed. Linda was right. The Laughing Buddha was there, but the place had changed. There was lots of new things to see as well as new places to stop and eat. Wesley enjoyed himself. Even Johnny enjoyed himself. Johnny was by now feeling better. The little people were still there. They were newly painted, but they were the same little people. Wesley showed him the little painted man. It was him, from his dreams, the little murderer. Then Johnny saw the black area on the man's left arm and he felt afraid. It was a tattoo that looked like a snake.
The Banshee. Connor showed his girlfriend Molly about Space Journey, which Molly sounds happy. Connor worked for a company that made the best computer games in Palo Alto, a city in California. He designed the picture for these games and Molly was always interested in his work. Space Journey is one of his best designs. Space Journey has 5 people, which are 2 strong-looking men, a boy, a girl, and a beautiful woman. They look really well as they move about on their spaceship. Holly was smiling and Connor was pleased. Then they saw the lady who has long and a sad face and washing her hands at the corner of the screen. But she's not Connor's design. He thinks someone at the office put her as joke. Holly asked Connor to turn on the sound. It was a woman's voice crying out in sadness, which really hurt their ears. Connor quickly turned it off. In this time, Connor still thought it is a joke, but it isn't funny. In the night time, they were going to sleep, but Holly asked Connor to open curtains to see a full moon. But the woman's face was pressed against the outside of her window. It was the same woman they had seen on the computer screen. Connor could see her eyes and long red hair. Then the woman screamed. Holly screamed too. The scream stopped and the woman was gone. They were really afraid of what they had seen. The phone rang. Then Connor picked up and listened. He put the phone down. The phone and Bill has been hit by a car. He's dead. Connor was only shy and had grew up in Cork Island. His father died when he was 10 years old. He lived with her mother, Bridie. Bridie has long red hair and green eyes. Bill met Bridie and married her. He took Bridie and Connor to his home in Palo Alto, Western California. Connor loved Bill as much as his father. Bill's death was hard for all of them. Connor and Molly said nothing to Bridie about the woman they had seen. Bridie was very wicked and wanted to marry again. They went to hold an Irish wake and danced their sadness away. After months after the wake, that Connor and Holly decided to tell Bridie about the strange woman. Bridie had seen it too. She saw it when Connor's father died in Ireland. It was the Banshee. It is visiting ghost. Someone who has died come to warn people with Irish blood that a person in their family is going to die. The Banshees Connor and Molly have seen the ghost of someone in Bridie's family from many years ago. Some ghosts become the Banshee for their family. Holly saw Banshee because she has Irish blood and married one of the family. But Holly shouldn't let anyone know if she sees it because nobody wants to know that they are the only who haven't seen the Banshee. It was mean that they were going to die soon. The Banshee only comes when they're this close. No one talks about it anymore. Space Journey was one of the best-selling computer games of the year. It made Connor rich. He was soon he he was soon working on a new Hollywood film. He had enough money to start his own computer design company. Connor and Molly still living in same apartment. Connor, Molly, and Billy are together. It was Connor's birthday, so Holly cooked some foods. Connor and Holly went outside balcony and opened wine, and Billy joined. They are looking at the evening sun. They have glass of wine and watching sunset. They looked towards the bay, and then the banshee came and screamed. It moved its hand as it were watching them, and flew away with light. Not a word was spoken. They drank their wine without saying a word, and watched sunset.
Rupert and Sue are well known on British television. They had a program called Home Makeover. This program about finding old home and renovate it. The latest idea is not interesting. They want a new house with many rooms. They think Orchard is suitable. They have just found what they want in a small town called Tislington. That is a big old church. They buy it for a cheap price. The area was filled by graves and 2 large yew trees. And that was Adam and Eve. But which tree would go? During late morning, there was a knock on the door. Rupert walked out to open the door and met a tall young man. Rupert was amazed. The man laughed. Rupert asked who the man is, and he knows that he is Adam Rose, the man who talks to them about the yew trees. They sat around the dining table. Rose quickly drank a large glass of water. Sue had to fill it several times. Rose said that cutting down the yew is strictly prohibited. You can only trim the branches. Rupert and Sue did not look at all comfortable. Rose apologized and talked about the importance of yew trees with a serious voice. Then Rose went back. Rupert and Sue thought Rose was pretty crazy. The next day, they asked a young man to cut down trees. He bought a chainsaw to cut down trees more quickly. But strange things happened. While he was working, he fell from a tree and unfortunately saw him cut off his arm. But fell from the tree. He went on to say that someone had pushed him. But it was impossible. No one was around him, and now the young man has gone home. Rupert calls another guy. The next morning, an old man arrived. He brought an axe to cut down the trees. He looked strong and capable. He said the shortest time was an hour, but maybe more. So Sue and Rupert let him work while they went for a walk. The Blakes came back after 2 hours, and the man was still there, but he cut the wrong tree. The Blakes trying not to be angry. The man said he only did what they told him to do, and said it was true. So they went to a Norwich store to buy an axe. When they got back, the director was already waiting. He wanted to come up with an idea about a new kitchen. While he had to go in the afternoon to cut down the trees, as they reached, the sun had already begun to set. Rupert retreated, going back and looked Sue as he was cutting down the tree. When the axe was buried in the wood, a horrible scream sounded. The screaming sound of a woman. She dropped an axe. She saw a tall woman. The clothes had a green leaf-like body of a yew tree coming out of the tree towards her. A woman came out through her, straight into the heart. A hand that passed Sue's body passed through the smoke. That hand pushed Sue in. At the center of tree, Sue now started screaming when Rupert saw their bodies disappear into the yew tree. As he looked down on the ground, he saw Sue lay in front of Eve. The Jew's eyes were very red. Rupert heard the sound of the wind coming from X tree. Right next is his wife. The red berries landed on the mouth of Sue's breathless body. The Blake's family home was finished, and the home cover was projected on TV after Sue died. And there are audience wondering why Sue is trying to cut down the Rupert tree, live alone in the church, and refuse to do any more homemaker programs.
Alice Delancey, a 39-year-old writer agent, and Chris Horn, a 26-year-old travel writer, is drinking tea in the occasion of Chris getting his new flat in the center of Paris. Chris is currently writing his new book called Around France on My Bicycle. Chris has always finished his book quickly. He writes very quickly. He has never been late. 5 weeks later, Chris still haven't finished his book at all. So Alice asked Chris about his book. Alice noticed that Chris had been acting a bit weird lately, talking about Japan a lot. They had an argument, and Chris held a very big knife. Then Alice reminded him that these Japanese paintings and things were not his work, and Chris snapped back. After some time passed, Chris finished his first chapter of his book, but he haven't had the rest of them finished yet. So Alice spoke to Chris's flat owner. The owner said nothing was wrong except that a Japanese painter killed himself here. Was fed up about the Europeans not taking his work seriously, so he killed himself. He was named Zen. Alice then was invited to Chris's house to drink some tea. Alice then found out that many television and newspaper reporters had been invited too. Chris was talking about how people don't take his work seriously, and then holds up a very big knife again and almost stabbed himself. But then another famous writer said that he liked the work. It is beautiful and it's exciting. Then Chris snapped back to reality. He dropped the knife, and later Alice explained everything to Chris.
A bed for Ambrose. Ambrose looked down from above the table. He saw his own body lying below him. There it was, lying on an operating table in a hospital in Perth, Western Australia. The surgeon was busy. "He's dying," said the surgeon. The nurse suddenly sat up. More drugs were given to his body. Ambrose looked down, not be able to believe what he was seeing. People were running around his body. They were trying to stop him dying. He didn't feel afraid. All the same, it wasn't what he expected. He had always thought death was the end of everything, like falling asleep and having no dreams, just a blackness. Ambrose, from his place above the table, saw nurses running towards a smaller table by the wall. A male nurse dropped something. It was a gold watch which had fallen from his wrist. The nurse didn't see it fall to the floor, but Ambrose did. The surgeon put 2 parts of the machine on either side of Ambrose's chest. Ambrose felt happy. He looked up, away from his body, and there was a light somewhere. He thought he saw his mother looking at him from the light. She had a sad look, but his mother was dead. Ambrose didn't care. He looked back towards the room. He saw the surgeon had a small dark area like little star on the back of her neck. He turned to the light again and to his mother, whose eyes were now wet with tears. Right now! As soon as the surgeon said this, Ambrose felt himself falling down very quickly. There was something that he felt like fire in his chest. The nice light was gone. Everything just disappeared. Ambrose woke up. He was in a hospital bed. The first thing he saw was a woman smiling and standing next to his bed. She was a nurse and looked rather like his mother. She looked hungry, like she was impatient to begin a tasty meal. The nurse asked, "How are you feeling?" Ambrose felt sick and a terrible pain in his side. Ambrose told the nurse that he nearly died on an operating table. The surgeon saved him because she used that machine. But Ambrose had to stop talking then. His chest hurt too much. Ambrose didn't like the nurse. She was still smiling. It made him feel uncomfortable. Ambrose asked what happened. He couldn't remember how he had gone into hospital. The nurse smiled even more widely and said that Ambrose was shot. Then Ambrose remembered the gun. The gun was part of his job. "But we'll take care of you," said the nurse. The nurse's word didn't make Ambrose feel any better. There was something about the nurse he didn't like. It was partly because the nurse looked like his mother. He was starting to remember things. Ambrose shot people for money and he was never short of work. Usually people didn't even know Ambrose was there when his bullet hit them. For example, Ambrose's mother. He shot her once while she was asleep. She never knew anything about it. But this person shot back. Then the next thing he knew, there he was in hospital looking down from above the operating table. But he hadn't forgotten the feeling that he was out of his body. He remembered reading about such things in magazine once. They said they remember everything they saw, just like he had. Only they said it changed their lives and made them better people. The nurse said everything he saw was real. His mother was real. This is real. That's how they liked it. They want him to feel everything. He'll get better very quickly. He'll see. He'll get better. They'll let him go outside. Then he'll feel more bullets. He'll feel lots of those. And he'll never know where they come from or when. It's only fair, isn't it? Said the nurse. Ambrose said, "Somebody help! This woman trying to kill me." The nurse carried on smiling. "Nobody trying to kill you, Ambrose. The machine didn't work. We can kill you. You see? Not now." And the nurse that looked like his mother smiled widely and slowly licked her lips with her long green tongue.
We will wait too. Who are we? We are the characters you read about in stories. Writers make us. Writers take a long time to decide what kind of characters we will be. We may be young or old, good or bad, clever or stupid, men or women. But once we are on the page, we belong to everybody. We do not only belong to the writer, we have a new life of our own. We are free. Once we are born in the head of a writer, we cannot be unborn, just as a thought cannot be unthought. We want to be free. We want writers to give us life. We wait near writers when they write, shouting in their ears that we want to give us life on the page. So writers, let us live. Go on writing. Your readers are waiting. We will wait too.